Welcome back, YouTube, to another episode here at WILDMAN Lives. I'm your host, WILDMAN. Now on today's episode, I'm going to be doing episode 3, and I'm going to be doing the deadlift. Now, the deadlift is a very important movement when it comes to strongman. In fact, I might even argue it's probably the most important movement because there's a lot of prize money and a lot of competitions that involve the deadlift. But there's many different degrees and many different kinds of variables that go into the deadlift when it comes to specific strongman events. So let's pop into today's workout. I'm going to be explaining what that's all about. Now for today's episode, I'm going to be doing the deadlift like I just said. But before I do that, I'm going to try to warm up my central nervous system. And one of my favorite movements to do is this movement actually, which is another strongman movement. So you're welcome. It's a bonus. This is the Circus Dumbbell press. It's one of my favorite exercises to do. Last time that I did this, I did it for 80 pounds. So today, now I'm going to load it up with 100 pounds. So it's going to be a 20-pound difference. And I'm going to be doing 1 rep on each side as I'm going up in weight on the deadlift. And you'll notice on the deadlift that I'm using an axle bar. So this bar does not bend like a normal barbell. It's 2 inches thick, doesn't have any knurling, thick as a Coke can, and it is hard to get off the ground. Something that's very commonly used in strongman events. And the third and final movement I'm going to be doing in my strength giant set is going to be a run. It's going to be a 200-meter run, running down to a specific destination, turning around, and then running all the way back. And my goal is by the time I'm done running with the total workout for the day, I'll get to 1 mile of accumulative running. That's going to be the strength giant set for the day. Now, even if you're not a strongman, an axle is a really good implement to own, kind of like the curved barbell. But in this case, I'm not using the curved barbell because that would be cheating. I'd actually be getting a lot less range of motion than I was with the axle. So even a lot of power lifters or gym enthusiasts might use the axle bar just because of its thick diameter. It's really hard to get it off the floor and it really taxes your grip. So as a result, it carries over a lot into the barbell training. Now, if you're a strongman and you're training to be a strongman like my episodes are suggesting you are, then it's something you'll see quite often in competition. Very rarely are you going to see a 1 rep max with an axle deadlift from the floor. Usually it's 4 reps, or you're going to be going down a ladder. Like you're going to start off with 5 axle bars and you have to just work your way all the way down to like the end as they get heavier and heavier as the competition goes on. Usually if you're going to see a 1 rep max with an axle, it's going to be wagon wheels attached to them. Wagon wheels are comically big weights. They usually weigh like 45 pounds. Some of them weigh a little bit more than that. But it basically gives you a 3-inch rise from the floor. So you're getting less range of motion. So it's kind of like doing a rack pull, but with the same mechanics as a deadlift. But when you couple it with the axle bar and it doesn't bend, then you can't just like pull and get that bar bending over your knees, which is where you're strongest, and then just stand up with it. The axle bar makes you have to actually get past the knee, even if you're connected to wagon wheels. So if you want to train like a strongman, you definitely need to get an axle because they're definitely going to be in competition. Either you're going to pull for reps from the floor or in a ladder schematic or a 1 rep max, but with wagon wheels attached. And if you're not used to the axle bar, it doesn't bend at all. So you have to get used to that fact that you're not going to get any slack out of it like you would with the barbell. And even if you're not a strongman, axles are a great tool to use, and you can do a variety of mini exercises with them, which you'll see what that looks like on the next episode of Train Like a Strongman. Now, I know that I'm in the middle of a series and I'm showing you how to train like a strongman, but you got to realize that I'm on the same deadlift program that I've been doing for a while. So I got up to a really heavy weight on the barbell, and then I decided I was going to start with lightweight on the axle bar, and that's what I've been doing the last deadlift sessions for my videos on my channel, where I'm just kind of working up to a 1 rep max, but I'm rotating with every other week, adding chains. So I've hit 440 pounds on the axle bar. That was my starting point. Moved kind of slow, so I kind of stopped there. Then the next week, I added chains, and it was 490 pounds at the top. And then for today, I plan to hit my regular rotational where I'm going to go up to about 460 pounds. And then on the next week, I'm going to add the chains and go up past 500 pounds. And I would like to be able to hit 480 pounds straight from the bar. No chains or anything like that. Just 480 pounds on the axle bar because I've never done that before. That would be a PR. Once I'm done with the axle bar, then I will start over with weight on the barbell and keep working up in the same rotating manner as I explained before. Now for this day, though, I was feeling just a little fatigued, and it could be a variety of different reasons. I have a very busy life, but I knew that I was going to be able to lift this weight, 460 pounds. I knew it was going to go up. I just didn't know how fast it was going to go up. So if it's a grind, then I know I need to dial it back, and my central nervous system hasn't fully recharged. And I must say, it actually looked a lot better on video. A little heavy, but it felt a lot heavier in my hands. But once I went back to review the video and I saw how actually smooth it was, I was very pleased with that, and I will be happy with that any day. Now for the variation giant set, I was doing 4 rounds, and this time I'm going to be doing a waiter's walk with that circus dumbbell. This is a great movement to do for the shoulders because it really teaches your shoulders how to stabilize a heavy movement while you're on the move. So this is really going to work your shoulder stabilizers. It's one of the best movements you could do if you want to increase lockout strength in the overhead press. And then I was doing some kettlebell farmer walks. And if you want to train like a strongman on deadlift day, you definitely need to do farmer walks as the next movement. Not only do they improve your deadlift, but farmer carries are common in strongman competitions. And since the kettlebell handles are significantly higher off the ground than a barbell, it's a little bit easier just to kind of rack pull it up and then walk with them. But because they're so fat and heavy on the bell side, it's knocking into your knees and knocking you all over the place, which is pretty typical in a strongman competition. Sometimes there's frame carries, which a trap bar is perfect for if you want to mimic that. But it's easier to farmer carry a trap bar than it is with something awkward like kettlebells or missiles or something like that. And as I was doing those 2 movements, I was also running down to that spot, turning around and running back for 200 meters. So by the time I was done with the strength and variation giant sets, I had done 1 mile of accumulative running. Now for the assistance giant set, I was doing 3 rounds. And because I was doing all that pulling, and you could, if you wanted to, in order to bodybuild, do some more back work. But for me, I felt like I had enough back work just from doing the deadlift and doing the farmer carries. So it made more sense to try to focus on my elbows, because when you pull a lot, you might want to do some bicep curls just to make sure your elbow is able to keep up with the demand of all the heavy pulling that you're doing. And like last time I was on my channel, I showed you how to do look backs, which is basically called a staggered rotational RDL or something like that. But I just call them look backs because if I just make sure that I look back, I really feel like I'm activating all the muscles that it should. Great exercise to do, not only to build the hamstrings and the obliques, but it also kind of works your back a little bit. So it's a great movement to do. I highly recommend these. And weighted sit-ups, because I find weighted sit-ups not only increases the strength of my core, but it also makes my hips feel a lot better after I'm done with a lot of heavy deadlifting. And for the accessory giant set, I was doing 3 rounds. But now, since I just did all that pulling and bicep work, now I just kind of want to finish off the biceps. And these are called stubborn curls. You basically lift it up in a controlled manner and then lower it back down as controlled as you can. But when you get to the top of the movement, you just wiggle the dumbbells or the kettlebells like such. This stimulates the bicep and really starts to burn them out. And it really helps when the biceps are already tired. And trust me, my biceps were already tired. And then hitchhikers, because any kind of face pull variation is awesome to do after a lot of heavy pulling. And this is one of my favorite movements to do as a variation of the face pull. And hip bridges. Now, hip bridges, you could do single leg, both leg, whatever. I wasn't in the mood and I was kind of tired anyways. So I was mainly just trying to get some blood into my hips. And this is a great movement to do if you're just trying to finish off the workout. So there you have it. That is episode 3 and a very typical deadlift training day when it comes to strongman training sessions. So if you're curious how to structure this, hopefully all these episodes are helping you out. And I'll see you next time. Thank you.